Hey everybody, I'm Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at a set collection card game called Perfect Hotel. Perfect Hotel is a pretty straightforward card game. In it, you are going to be taking cards on your turn, adding them to your hand, and then discarding one openly that other people could take, or you are going to be playing a set in front of you. And those cards represent floors in your hotel that you're building up. The trick is, well, you cannot repeat kinds of floors, so once you build a kind of thing, you can't play it again later. And you are trying to make larger sets than your opponents because you're going to get bonus points for that. Let me show you how it works. We'll come on back after that and I'll tell you what I think of it. In the game, the players are going to be attempting to make the best hotels they can by using these cards to make sets that denote the floors, playing those cards out in front of them, and then scoring points throughout the playing of those cards from the number of cards, the sizes of the floors, as well as some bonuses at the end of the game right up here, okay? So each player is going to start with two cards as you see here. You have a draw deck, and we've set out these tags in the order they're in, and then you are ready to begin. So we're going to start with the green player over here, and they are going to, on their turn, do one of two things. You can draw or you can play, all right? And so this player is going to grow their hand. So you draw two cards from the draw deck, and then you have to get rid of one, which you are going to put below the matching tag. In this case, this card goes right here. And so you draw two, get rid of one, and that's it for their turn. The next player is going to go. We're going to go here to the blue player, and they've got 2 7s already, so that's pretty good. They might choose to play these. So let's say they do. When you play, you have to play at least 2 cards that match. You put them in front of you, and obviously this player would have their own area somewhere. You play them out, and you've now started to work on that floor. The trick here is that once you play a floor, a kind of room, in this case this is a pool, you cannot add to it later. So if I later on build some, let's say restaurants, which is the 8, above this, I cannot then add more pool cards. I get one shot at building out pools. The only way around that is you can build an annex, which means I can build another set of pool cards right above this one, and then we count the block as being a single, build if you want to. So this player is going to do that, and what they're trying to do is get the most of these because you're going to get victory points for that. At the end of the game, the players are going to get victory points for the number of cards they've played, but also if you've got more of a kind than anyone else, you are going to get the number of victory points that the card denotes. This set has 9 cards, as it says on here, but it's worth 7 victory points. So, again, at the end of the game, if the blue player has more than anyone else, of those, they'll get 7 points. If you match the number with someone else, let's say the blue player ends up with 2 of them, and the yellow player ends up with 2 of them, green player has none, then they are each going to match. They each have 2 cards. You get a number of victory points equal to the number of cards, i.e. 2 points, all right? So that's what they did, and we go now to the yellow player who is going to draw, and they'll take 1, 2 cards, and they're going to get rid of that one there. Go over to the green player. The green player is going to, let's say that they'll play, let's steal a card from this player just for our example here, all right? Haha, here, I'll give you something back. Don't worry, it's okay. Let's say the green player is going to play, and they can play this set of 10s, which are bedrooms in their hotel. However, you can add on to that these cards. Group of tourists is what the card is called. These are wild, so they can be added on to anything, making my floor there 3 bedrooms. But it will cost me 3 victory points at the end of the game for each one of those I played. So it's going to be helpful to try to get these bonuses right, to try to get the length, the size of the floor, but it is going to hurt me a little bit as well. So you have to be cautious with those. When you discard a card, you're also allowed to discard one of the groups of tourists down here, below one of these, but there can only be one per group. So if I put a group of tourists here below the pools, we cannot later on have another one there. So why are we even discarding to these spots? Well, the reason for that is because when you build, let's say that's there, let's take that example back, it is the green players go. When you are building a floor, you may take the cards that are below one of these tags and use them as well. So I might do that instead. And so you empty out, if cards have collected, you can use them and put them into your build. In fact, you could even, if there are at least two below a floor here, a type, you can just build from that. You don't even have to have any of them in your hand. But you can add to your hand, from your hand to that build if you so choose. All right, so that's how that works. There's also a variance rule which says that when you take cards from below a tag, you may flip that tag over, making it harder and a little more strategic for players to take from below that tag, because from now on, they'd have to take 2 cards at least. It's high season, and so a single card like this one would not be allowed to be taken if this has already been flipped. You'd need at least 2. And so building early, you have to be careful with your timing there. You want to make sure you grab some early and then make it harder for everybody else. So that's basically it. The game's going to continue until we run out of the deck of cards. That last player is going to take their last turn. And then we are going to score and give out some of these bonuses. So everyone is going to get a point per card. You are also going to check the sizes of the floors, and if someone has the most of each kind, of each of these kinds, they get that many victory points. If you are tied, you get a point per card. So if I have the most 10s over here, green would get their 10 points. Okay? And then also you assign these bonuses up here. So the cheap hotel is actually a penalty, which says that if you don't have at least 4 different kinds of floors, you're going to lose 3 victory points. The Sky Room is plus 3 victory points to whoever has the biggest floor at the top. So you check all your top floors, and whoever has the most cards there gets the Sky Room. And then the Perfect View bonus is for whoever has the most floors. And so you're going to get plus 5 for that, for your highest building. And then, of course, as I said, you lose your 3 victory points for each group of tourists. Once you've done all that, you figure out who the winner is, and now you pretty much know how to play Perfect Hotel. So let's go back up top, and let me tell you what I thought about it. All right, so there it is. I have to say, this card game, before I dive into my target audience system here, it's a card game that I really like the idea. I like the look of it. I was kind of hoping for a little more oomph. But unfortunately, it's one that's just not particularly memorable. And, at the end of the day, it's one that is going to just get sort of lost in the shuffle of so many other card games. This one doesn't do anything that, for me, stood out from the decidedly crowded area it's a part of. So here we go. Thematic ties. I like the theme. I enjoy the idea of building the hotels, collecting the cards to make the biggest hotel you can. That's cool. It's a cute theme. It works well in this setting, The aesthetics, this is a mixed bag because the artwork is fantastic. I love the artwork, but I dislike very much the quality of the cards. The finish on these is sort of a rubbery, a little tacky kind of finish. They don't shuffle very well at all. And so I don't like how the cards are made, and also the scoreboard is a folded piece of paper that just so it can fit in the box. It's just fine. I don't have a problem with that really, but the cards are I don't like these cards. They look great. They feel off, So not super thrilled about that. The replayability and the scalability, it's okay. Again, not a positive here necessarily because I think the game just does not warrant repeat plays or a lot of repeat plays. It's just not captivating enough, I think, to come back to it and hope to discover something else, hope to put your brilliant strategy that you came up with in between one play and the other into effect. It's just not there, So the replayability I don't find to be great. It's okay. Game length, and that includes downtime. I actually am giving this a negative, not because the game is too long, but because I feel the game is too short. I didn't feel like I was able to do enough. The game, you run through this deck quite quickly, and then it's over, and you didn't feel like you did much, especially with higher player counts. So it's just not, it doesn't feel right. The length of the game, the investment, the watching things happen, it doesn't quite feel right. For a set collection game, I feel like the sets sort of collected themselves and then it was over, and I was like, oh, okay, oh yeah, I got more of those than you did. Cool. That's that many points. All right, it kind of like just, the end just sort of showed up and that was over and that was it. It doesn't have an arc, I guess, is my problem. So I didn't like the game length because it does feel too abrupt. It's too short. Ease of play, which is if there's any fiddliness, iconography issues, design choices that are weird. I'm not giving this a positive here either, but mainly because the rulebook is kind of messy. It's a little. I understand that this is a translated game. So I understand where the issues are stemming from, but for this simple of a game, it should be clearer. It should be really, really, really obvious how to play. And in fact, it took me, at least one solid try to be like, wait, I don't think we score this. Or do we score that? I mean, how does that work? So, that's a little iffy for me. It's not bad, right? I mean, the look of the game, like I said, is fine. It plays well once you get it, but it's a little tricky to get, especially, for something this light. It should be fun. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and luck and randomness. Yes, all of those things are there. This feels like a rummy game, and it is in many ways a rummy style game. So it's going to come with all the inherent randomness that a game like that has. Discarding openly and being able to take those sets, that's cool. It reduces that luck a little bit. But the strategy, again, when you are just top decking cards, you're going to get, you get what you get. Now, that's not bad. I'm not giving this a negative here because it is a light card game, a quick, light, simple card game. That's fine. I just feel like for all of the limitations that the game kind of puts on you, maybe I should have a little more control over what I get to do, and you really don't. It doesn't feel that way, So overall, having said all of that, I think the game it's attractive, it's cute, it's fairly well made. It's just not captivating. The theme is captivating. I love the idea. I think these are brilliant. These are such a cute component. The tag, that's so neat. I like that a lot. And so I like some of the concepts that are at play here. I just think the game play is not that exciting, ultimately. It's a pretty by-the-numbers kind of set collection game with then this idea of, okay, you build a set above the other one. Unfortunately, I'm just not as thrilled by this idea. Maybe, as a game that you are learning right after just Rummy and Racco, then yes, maybe you could get into this and be like, oh, I like it. This has some new stuff. As a filler, maybe you'll like it. But for me, I did not dislike it, like I didn't hate it, but it's largely uninspiring. And if maybe it was nicer components, I'd keep it around, maybe show it off as a quick filler, but I don't like shuffling these. And overall, the look really is the main thing that pops for me. Everything else, there are many better card games that can be played that offer so many similar things and would do the job just as well, So again, don't hate it. If you love the idea here, if it looks good to you in the overview, then give it a shot, try it out, seek it out maybe, but I think you would be better served by finding something that is similar in feel, but achieves its goals a little bit more strongly. So, there you go. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.